Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be talking about something that's pretty fascinating to me, at least. It's kind of a hidden world of finance that most people aren't really aware of.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about life insurance, but not in the way you probably think about it.
Oh.
You've got your own policy to protect your family. We're going to be looking at how the big players use it, like banks and major corporations.
Exactly. And the numbers involved are, well, pretty staggering. Let's just say we're talking billions with a B.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're talking serious money,
Well,
which is why I think this is going to be such an interesting deep dive for our listeners.
absolutely. To help us kind of unpack all this, we've got an excerpt from a book that really gets into the nitty-gritty of how these institutions are using life insurance in some pretty unexpected ways.
Right off the bat, the book throws out some pretty eye-popping figures. For example, did you know Bank of America is sitting on nearly $20 billion in life insurance?
Wow, 20 billion. That's more than some countries' entire yearly budgets. Why would a bank need that much life insurance?
Well, it's not about the death benefit or anything like that. It's all tied to something called bank-owned life insurance, or BOI.
BOLI. Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
So banks are required to hold a certain amount of super safe assets. This is known as their Tier 1 capital. And get this, the FDIC, the guys who insure your deposits, they consider life insurance to be a really solid Tier 1 asset.
So it's like a financial safety net for the bank?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a way for them to show regulators, hey, we're financially stable and we can weather any storms that come our way.
But wouldn't things like government bonds or just holding a bunch of cash also count as a safe asset? Why is life insurance so special in this case?
You're right. Those are also considered safe. But life insurance has a couple things going for it that make it particularly appealing to banks. First, it offers relatively predictable long-term growth. And second, the tax treatment can be pretty advantageous.
Okay, so it's not just about being safe. It's about getting a decent return on that safety net as well.
Precisely. Now hold on to your hats, because it's not just banks that are in on this. The book also digs into how corporations are using life insurance in a big way. We're talking about something called COLI, Corporate-Owned Life Insurance.
COLI. Okay, this is getting interesting. Tell me more.
The book says that over 68% of Fortune 1000 companies use COLI to fund things like supplemental executive retirement plans.
Whoa. So we're talking about almost 7 out of every 10 major companies using life insurance to sweeten the retirement packages of their top executives.
Exactly. And it makes sense when you think about it. Life insurance, with its predictable growth, can be a very reliable way to make sure they can meet those long-term obligations like executive pensions.
So both banks and corporations are using life insurance as a strategic financial tool, not just for the death benefit, but for its stability, predictable growth, and potential tax advantages.
You got it. And what's really fascinating is that this all ties into a much bigger conversation about the way we think about finances and retirement planning.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. Because if these giant financial institutions are relying so heavily on life insurance, does that mean the rest of us are missing out on something?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And the book actually goes on to suggest that maybe, just maybe, all that traditional financial advice we've been given about investing in the stock market for retirement might not be the whole story.
Wait, are you saying Wall Street has been leading us astray this whole time?
Not necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But the book definitely throws out a challenge to conventional wisdom. It points out that there's been a massive shift away from life insurance as a savings tool and towards the stock market. And it makes you wonder if that shift has really been in everyone's best interest.
This is getting really thought-provoking. It's like we've been handed a new lens to view the whole financial world.
Exactly. And to really understand why this shift happened, we need to take a closer look at how it all went down. So the book kind of traces this whole shift back to like the rise of 401ks in the 80s, and the growing influence of those big investment firms.
Yeah, I remember my parents were so excited when they first got their 401ks. It felt like this whole new world of opportunity had opened up, you know?
Right. And the marketing around 401ks and mutual funds was all about like the huge growth potential of the stock market. But the book makes this really interesting point. It argues that this shift also kind of coincided with the financial industry gaining more and more control over people's retirement savings.
So are you suggesting that this push towards the stock market was driven more by like profit motives than what was actually best for the average person?
Well, the book doesn't come right out and say that,
Yeah.
but it definitely encourages us to think critically about like who benefits from the current system, and to consider whether there might be other approaches that would better align with people's individual financial goals.
This is getting pretty deep. It's like we're seeing the whole financial world through a new set of eyes.
Exactly. And it's important to remember, we're not saying that the stock market is like inherently bad
Yeah.
or that 401ks are a terrible idea,
Hmm.
but it's really crucial to understand the historical context and like the potential biases that might be shaping the financial advice we're getting.
Okay, so we've got banks and corporations using life insurance strategically for like stability and growth. And we've got this historical shift towards the stock market that might not have been entirely in everyone's best interest. But what does this all mean for the average person? What can we actually do with this information?
That's the key question, right?
Yeah.
And the book doesn't give us any easy answers or like specific financial advice, but it really pushes us to question our assumptions, do our own research, and really explore all of our options.
So it's not about rushing out to buy a ton of life insurance policies tomorrow. It's more about like broadening our understanding of how this whole financial landscape work and making informed decisions that are right for our individual situations.
You got it. And that might mean talking to financial advisors who are willing to think outside the box, you know, exploring alternative investment strategies, or even considering how life insurance could fit into our overall financial plan.
This is making me think about my own retirement planning. I've always just assumed that investing in the stock market was the only way to go. But now I'm realizing that maybe there are other paths to financial security.
And that's a really powerful realization because when you start to question that conventional wisdom and explore different possibilities, you're taking control of your financial future.
I like that. So if the main takeaway here is to be more informed and empowered, what are some practical steps that people can take to start exploring these alternative paths? Like, where do you even begin when you're questioning the very foundation of what you've been taught about finances?
Well, the first step is just being aware,
Mm.
realizing that there are different perspectives and different approaches to this whole financial planning thing.
Okay, awareness is key. But what about concrete actions? What are some tangible things people can do to put this new awareness into practice?
One really practical step is to start asking questions. Don't be afraid to challenge your financial advisor's assumptions or to seek out second opinions. There are also tons of resources online and in libraries that can teach you more about alternative investment strategies and, different financial planning concepts.
So it's about being proactive and taking ownership of our own financial education. Don't just blindly follow the crowd or accept the status quo. Dig deeper, explore different options, and find what works best for you.
That's it. And remember, this whole financial planning thing is a journey, not a destination. It's a continuous process of learning, adapting, and making informed decisions that align with your values and goals.
That's a great point to highlight. It's not about finding the one right answer or following a rigid set of rules. It's about being open to new ideas, staying curious, and constantly evolving our understanding of this crazy financial world.
And that's where the true power lies. When you embrace a growth mindset and commit to lifelong learning, you become an active participant in shaping your financial future. You're no longer just reacting to the market or following someone else's advice. You're making conscious choices that empower you to reach your financial goals and really live the life you want.
That's a great way to put it. It's about taking control, being proactive, and making our money work for us instead of the other way around.
Exactly. And don't forget, you don't have to do this alone. There are resources, communities, and experts out there who can support you on your journey.
All right, so let's sum it all up. We've learned that banks and corporations are using life insurance in ways that most of us wouldn't even imagine. And this might challenge some of the assumptions we have about traditional financial advice. But instead of feeling overwhelmed or discouraged, we can use this knowledge to empower ourselves.
Absolutely. By questioning the status quo, exploring different perspectives, and really seeking out information, we can make more informed choices about our financial futures.
And who knows, maybe we can even learn a thing or two from these financial giants and start using some of their strategies to our own advantage.
Now you're thinking like a true deep diver.
Mm.
Always curious, always questioning, and always looking for ways to get ahead.
And that's the spirit we want to encourage in everyone listening, because knowledge is power. And when it comes to finances, the more you know, the better equipped you are to create a secure and successful future for yourself and your loved ones.
So is this it then? Are we all supposed to call up our financial advisors tomorrow and be like, hey, why didn't you tell me about this whole BLI and COI thing?
Well, now, hold on a minute. It's not quite that simple. What works for a massive corporation or a huge bank might not be the right move for an individual person. Those institutions have totally different goals and risk tolerances. And they've got access to a level of expertise that most of us just don't.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's easy to get kind of swept up in all this and think, oh, there's this secret formula that I've been missing out on. But financial planning is not really a one-size-fits-all thing, is it? Nope, definitely not. This deep dive isn't about telling you exactly what to do with your money. It's more about encouraging you to think for yourself. Ask questions and challenge those assumptions you might have about the financial world.
So instead of just taking everything we've been told at face value, we should be looking at our own goals and deciding what strategies make sense for our own situations.
Right. Maybe the traditional stock market approach is the perfect fit for you, but maybe it's not. The important thing is to be informed, to be proactive, and make choices that line up with your own needs and how much risk you're comfortable with.
This whole conversation has really been eye-opening. It shows us that there's a whole world of financial strategies out there that we might not even known about before.
And remember, knowledge is power. When it comes to your finances, the more you know, the better decisions you can make, and the more you can build a solid financial future.
So if there's one thing we want you to take away from this episode, it's this. Don't be afraid to question things, to explore and to challenge what everyone else is telling you. Because when you do, that's when you discover all sorts of new possibilities.
Who knows? You might even find some hidden gems out there that can help you achieve those big financial dreams.
Well, that's about all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we took a look at the surprising world of how banks and corporations are using life insurance. Hopefully this sparked some ideas and got you thinking about how you can take control of your own financial journey.
Until next time, keep asking questions, keep learning, and keep diving deep.